Columbus, Ohio police officer Donovan Bever recently fired after shocking body cam footage showed him violently arresting a 14-year-old black boy on February 19th. You see that there? Difficult to look at. Why the arrest? Well, for a pedestrian traffic violation. The kid was walking. Per the Columbus Dispatch, Bever and another cop saw a group of teens lingering in the street at a crosswalk near an apartment complex, because you know that's a crime. What are you doing outside in the fresh air, teenagers? So what do you do about it? Well, they swooped in, just like the military would. Both cops drove up to the teens and said, "Let's chat." The teens ran off. One officer got out of the car and chased them on foot, according to NBC4 Columbus. Bever drove around in pursuit. Atlanta Black Star has the details. Bever's partner caught up with the two teens, two of them. He pulled out his gun, because it rose to that level, and raised it at both boys while ordering them to get on the ground for threatening to shoot him. Both teens followed his orders, still trying to figure out what the initial crime was. That's right. They were together outside in the fresh air. Got it. Bever's body cam footage showed him pull his police car to the area where his partner had detained both teens. He's seen getting out of his car and running toward the scene because this is an emergency. Despite the teens being already on the ground, they were ordered on the ground. They complied. Just comply. Comply. Why don't you just comply? Bever ran up to one of them, bent down, grabbed his locks, and slammed his face to the ground, bloodying his nose in the process. Now, I didn't read anything about resisting arrest, but maybe we'll get to that. He was on the ground. You're getting your nose bloodied. Whew. The teen is seen groaning in pain and distress while Bever cuffs him and begins roughly searching the teen's pocket, saying he's searching him for a gun. Police officials also said he struck the teen in his groin during the arrest. Teen yells, "I'm sorry, I'm complying," repeatedly, tells Bever he doesn't have a gun. In the footage, Bever is heard saying to the teen, "You move, I will break your face." After searching him, Bever drags the teen by his locks back to his police car. As they approach his vehicle, Bever asks the teen, "You got AIDS?" Because there's blood and, a difficult job. Police officers want to make sure they're not jeopardizing their own health and safety. What a fool. Columbus Police Chief Elaine Bryant now criticized the officers' actions and said they had no reason to draw their weapons or use force on the teens, adding they should have pulled over and respectfully approached the teens to talk about pedestrian laws. I almost agree with what you said, Chief. They should have driven by those teens and waved, "Hey guys, everything good? Thanks for being you." What are you stopping them for? Is this a police state? Oh yeah, it is. "I was angry, disappointed, upset," Chief Bryant said of the arrest, according to the Columbus Dispatch. "That is not what we reflect as Columbus Division of Police." We did on that day. "The majority of our officers have great relationships with our community." Within hours of the arrest, Bever's gun and badge were confiscated. Good move. He was placed on leave. He was finally terminated from his position on June 10th. Well, I'm liking that. That seems like the right thing to do. I'm wondering when he'll be arrested, though, because what we've described is an unwarranted, violent assault and, frankly, a kidnapping. You're detaining someone who shouldn't even have detained. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm playing one today. Bever's history now. I wonder if he's done anything like this before. Bever's faced 3 citizens' complaints during his time on the Columbus Police Force, 2 of which reported harassment and the use of profanity and rude language, like, "You have AIDS." I wonder if it was like that. Bever's former supervisor had warned him about his language use in the past. In November 2021, he violated policy by continually swearing at the arrestee while taking him into custody. At least there's a record here. Now, the bar is low, but I'm pleased that they've kept a record of this instead of saying it didn't happen. During his April 2022 performance review, he had to be given constructive feedback about his interactions with the public, and the department arranged for him to be retrained in de-escalation tactics and verbal confrontation. Okay, it's not perfect, but I like that too. It seems that this police force under this chief is more proactive than most that we cover, Fran.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting to hear about the arrest. A crime is a crime, right? Unless the police commit it.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, that is the rule. It's that the cops don't enforce the law, they're above the law, and they get to break it time and time again. I think it's incredible. Look, it is very, very telling that there was swift, well, that there was finally accountability, because he'd done this before, as you talked about, right? It is telling that there was accountability, but notice the language they use. They keep on singling out this one police officer. This is not becoming of our police force, this one instance, this one bad cop. Again, it's the year 2024, man. If we know anything, we know that the bad apple excuse is exactly that. It is pure cover for an actual institutional problem, for a problem. And look, he got more training after like the first couple of incidences in terms of like de-escalation. Something's not working. And that something is the bias that these officers are walking in with. It is the force and the impunity with which they are allowed to operate in. It's the fact that they don't know anyone who's ever caught a charge for doing the exact same thing as they did in their position of power, Sharon. And that's what we need. And so if they saw that around them, if the culture was different, if, then their behavior would finally change. I mean, if they treated themselves with an ounce of the sort of punitive nature that they treat so-called suspects, in this case, a 14-year-old child playing, like, then I think they might learn a little something. But I mean, this story after story, how do we do this? How do we do this and say, oh yeah, well, I'm glad this was a one bad thing? No, it's what they do. What if this were a 14-year-old white kid? Come on now, let's be real.
You are so right. And by the way, white kids in the suburbs congregate outside, and sometimes they watch TikTok and tell your mama jokes, and they do what teenagers do.
Yes.
So no, Chief, I don't think he should have stopped them to see what they were up to, unless he wanted to play a pickup game with the kids or some softball. I don't think so. And you're so right about this bad apple thing and how it's a farce. It's just it's rooted in just falsehoods. Okay, and we know that because police officers who were sworn to protect and serve, who have to have a difficult job going after the bad guys. He may have been fired quickly, but they didn't slap the cuffs on him. If it worked the way it should, he was committing a crime right before their eyes, and they should have said, back up, breaker, whatever they do on the radio.
Right,
because,
exactly.
You can't confront your partner just by yourself. I would. I say, friend, we're not doing this. We're not doing this,
sure.
Okay? But did he do that? No. Somehow, he lived for them to take. The gun and the badge lived. I mean, he left that scene and team bloodied. He should have been arrested on the spot because I saw a crime, okay?
Yeah.
I saw a crime being committed.
No, they had to chase them down. These are kids. Of course they're gonna run away, right? You're not.
Wouldn't you after this?
Exactly. How? Oh my God, because they knew. Because they were like, I don't want whatever the cops are coming at me for, I don't want any part of it, right? You have to understand that, especially the fact that they weren't doing anything wrong. And cops, because they're cops, are like, oh no, I'm incensed by that. That's a questioning of my authority. Child who is running away from a clear menace to their society. Like the biggest purveyor of violence in these folks' communities is the cops themselves.
Do you have AIDS? What a menace.
Please.
I'm waiting on an arrest, Chief. Columbus. Is that home of Ohio State? But I'm waiting on an arrest. I'm sorry. I spent a lot of time in Cleveland, but I'm done with this whole Ohio, the Ohio University. If this community is better, prove it, Chief. Arrest Beaver. Throw a book at him.